Are you looking for a budget graphics card? We might have the thing for you. Today we're having a look at the ASRock AMD Radeon RX 590 Phantom Gaming. At first glance, we see that this card comes in a dual slot form factor with a dual fan configuration. The heat sink fins are quite spread out, which allows for more air movement, but reducing overall surface area, which can make dissipation difficult. On top of the PCB, there is an aluminium backplate with the ASRock Phantom Gaming branding. There are 2 display ports, 2 HDMI ports, and 1 DVI-D port. For power delivery, there's a single 8-pin PCI Express connector. All of this is held together with a minimalistic plastic shroud with the Phantom Gaming branding. I have to admit, it does look quite good, but what does it pack under the hood? The big positive with this card is that with 8GB of VRAM, it should make loading big textures a breeze. But how does it perform? We have tested the card on 5 games: Grand Theft Auto 5, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Hitman, Battlefield 5 and Apex Legends at 1080p and 1440p resolutions. Our test bench is made up of an AMD Ryzen 7 2700X at 4GHz on an MSI X470 Gaming Plus motherboard with 16GB of Team Group's T-Force Delta RGB RAM at 3000 MHz. Benchmarking GTA 5, we achieved an average of 94 frames per second on 1080p. At 1440p, the average was 71 frames per second while keeping a respectable minimum frame rate. The results are pretty similar for Hitman on 1080p as well as 1440p. No surprises with Shadow of the Tomb Raider except for being a little bit more demanding than the previous titles. We had a similar situation with Battlefield 5, achieving an average of 103 frames per second at 1080p and 71 frames per second at 1440p. We thought we'd give Apex Legends a try, which got a 103 frame per second average at 1080p, but dipped by half to a 52 frame per second average at 1440p, which we wouldn't recommend. We also ran some synthetic benchmarks, but for a card like this, we don't think it really matters. The average power draw during testing was 150 watts, with peaks of 185 watts. During our test, the card parked itself at around 82 degrees Celsius while peaking at 84 degrees. However, we didn't see any severe cases of thermal throttling, which means the card was mostly at its optimum performance. The fans ramp up pretty quickly and hit 90% of their speed early on. This means that unless you change the factory fan curve, they're going to be quite loud during gaming. Because of the factory fan curve and factory overclock, we decided against overclocking the card further. This is because we were close to the thermal limit, which left us with very little headroom. Lastly, we must mention the price. In Europe, we're looking at €250 at the time of review. However, there is news that there is going to be a price drop. At this price, we think it's good value, but with a further price drop, we think it will make an excellent budget card if you can bear with the noise. Thanks to ASRock and the Gamers Lounge for sending us the ASRock AMD Radeon RX 590 Phantom Gaming. If you've liked this review, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more videos.